Okay. So, welcome to the last session of week 2, and here we are going to talk about how HRD activities can be linked with the performance. If you remember, we have been talking about various activities related to human growth development, that how we facilitate, what is the role, how we link strategy with HRD. Okay. But only linking strategy with HRD is not enough, unless it results in effective performance. Okay. So, now what we are going to discuss in this last session of week 2 is that how we go about linking HRD with performance. And so, if you remember, we have been talking about strategic HRD and how it results in better individual behavior and performance, and we will discuss here some of the approaches related to this. So, there are 3 major approaches, one by one we will discuss about it. So, to start with, we will talk about human capital approach. See, the human capital approach is something that is little different from what you call the basic or the traditional HRD approach. In traditional HRD approach, basically we treat people as a resource which need to be effectively utilized, so that they can perform well. And in order to ensure that people are effectively utilized, you need to invest in people, so that the value of human capital appreciates. Okay. So, the idea is that when you are talking about or having a proactive approach for learning and development activities, you need to be concerned with people as capital, okay, and you need to invest in the capital, so that you get better return on investment. Now, this investment in capital, that is human capital, is nothing else but investing in their growth and development activities through HRD interventions, that could be training, coaching, mentoring or counseling, so that they develop those skills which is required by the organization, okay, and are able to contribute to the organizational performance. And when we are trying to link strategic HRD with performance and taking a human capital approach, the idea is that you need to invest in people, and this investment has to be done through training and development activities or other HRD interventions, so that people develop those competencies which is required by the organization and they are able to perform well. We have already talked about this human capital approach that takes basically the route of return on investment approach basically. So, you expect better return on investment on people, right, and then you think that yes, people are the competencies, are the resources which you are going to effectively utilize for the organization, so that they perform well. Apart from this human capital approach, we will also discuss other approaches, and that is include resource based approach. Now, if you look at resource based approach, it suggests that yes, people are the most important and valuable resource in the organization, and what matters most for any organization is the kind of human resources that you have, okay, because it is said that the human resources of any organization is something that is durable, stable, difficult to imitate and substitute. What does it mean to say that difficult to imitate and substitute? It means the knowledge and skill base of the human resources cannot be imitated and substituted. It is not the people, but the knowledge and skill base of the people is very difficult to imitate and substitute, and that is what is going to provide competitive advantage to the organization. So, the organization is going to make a difference or differentiate itself from their competitors based on the kind of knowledge and skill base their people have, okay, because they are treating them as a resource, one of the valuable resource which cannot be copied, which cannot be imitated, right, and provided that it stays back, it stays with the organization, that is durable. If it is moving from your organization to another organization, so they will have competitive advantage, not you, because you are treating human resources as a resource which is difficult to be imitated and copied, okay, And here when we are talking about resource, that is the knowledge and skill base of the individual. So, this knowledge and skill base of the individual is the most important resource for the any organization, and this is what this resource based view says, right. Now, this is going to provide competitive advantage and that is where you are need to develop this through strategic HRD activities. Okay. So, this strategic HRD activities basically helps in developing the knowledge and skill base of the employees, or what you call the competencies, and this knowledge and skill base has to be related or matched with the requirement of the organization. What I mean to say is that you need to match the knowledge and skill base of the individual with the knowledge and skill base that is required by the organization. Okay. And that is where strategic human resource development has a very important role. So, you are going to improve that depending upon the requirement of the organization, and that actually helps in developing the what you call the resource human resources. It means that your resource human resource is competent enough to take on the challenges of the organization, right. Apart from this resource based view, we are moving to another important approach, that is the behavioral perspective. Okay. Part of that I have already talked about, that is how you are going to improve and change the behavior of employees. And so, if you look at the behavioral perspective, it means that you are going to talk about systems and practices of the organization. Okay. And here what you are doing basically, you are going to link HRD with improved behavior. This link between HRD and performance, it means that if you are going for HRD activities, it is going to change the behavior of the employees, okay, and then this is going to help you to achieve the goals and objectives of the organization. So, the behavior perspective says that this any learning and development activities facilitate learning to improve the behavior and performance of the employees, which helps the organization to achieve its goals and objectives, right. Now, the goals and objectives of the organization requires different kind of behavior. So, you need to ensure that your HRD activities are going to facilitate different kind of learning, okay, to improve the behavior and the performance of the employees. Because if you are not able to facilitate different kind of behavior from the employees required by the organization, then it will not help the organization to achieve the objective. So, people may need different kind of learning experiences, and what the idea is to you need to identify different kind of learning experiences, so that you are able to help the employees to go through those learning experiences, okay, in a structured way, and that is going to help the organization to achieve its goals and objectives. So, we have talked about three different activities, okay, that is HRD activities, behavior, and how it is linked with meeting the goals and objectives of the performance. Now, this is a important model of strategic human resource development. Okay. Now, if you look at this model, ultimately the basic objective of going for this kind of activity is to have a competitive advantage on a sustainable basis. It means that if you are going for these kind of activities, you should be able to compete in the long run and remain viable and competitive in the business, right. Now, in order to remain competitive in the business, if you are going to adopt this kind of model, which is proposed by Pohu, he suggests that you start with a theoretical framework, you develop a strategy and see that these strategic objectives are met in terms of the outputs, so that it results in better financial performance on a continuous basis, which leads to sustained competitive advantage. Now, when we are talking about these kind of things, first look at the strategic inputs. What is the input? We have talked about it, different kind of theories, resource based theory of the firm, that is If you are thinking that the people in the organization are your most valuable resource, which cannot be copied or imitated, then you need to develop them. Okay. So that you have the competent people to see that they are engaged in certain behaviors which result in better organizational performance, right. With this theoretical framework, you proceed further and then you develop a strategy, that is your strategic human resource development activities. Now, in the name of strategic HRD activities, now if you look at this, you can see here we are talking about transformational processes, right. These transformational processes are actually is going to transform the people or the human resources into someone who has the capability to perform well, right. So, at the first level you have the input, and this input the human resource who needs to be developed, because you have an idea that it is the people who is going to make a difference in the organization. So, they need to be developed. With this theoretical framework, you go for certain processes, you need to transform them, and this transformation takes place through different kind of HRD interventions. It could be related to leadership development, talent development, training development, or performance development. So, these are the various transformational activities or processes that you need to design, and if you are able to design these transformational processes and you have been able to develop the strategies, that would lead to certain outcomes. It means that you have been able to transform people into something that is what you call a valuable resource, which cannot be copied and imitated, and provided they are durable. So, the objective is that you are able to transform people into someone who is effective, who is committed, who performs well, and who is also satisfied with what he is doing. Okay. And if that happens, it would result in better on his financial performance, and if this is being done on a continuous basis, you can expect a sustained competitive advantage. Now, so that is how we are trying to link HRD processes, that is the second level, these HRD processes, okay, and these are the behavior resulting in performance. Now, what are the indicators when it comes to measuring performance of human resource development? Okay. Now, if you look at this at different level, say starting with say mission of the organization. Okay. The mission could be related to if you look at performance outcomes like what is the economic returns, profitability, market share, all kind of things. I mean these dimensions are going to differ depending upon the nature of the organization, right. So, for the national level it could be the poverty level, for an organization it could be economic returns, market share, profitability. For health system it could be mortality rate, right. So, these are the different kind of indicators of performance which could be the mission of an organization, different kind of organizations, right. And these objectives are driven by certain things like innovation, knowledge capital. You have to have a strategy for that, management and leadership strategy, or it could be a part of your social responsibility, right. So, you are driven by social responsibility to ensure at the national level the poverty level goes down. You could have a strategy or health strategy that okay, the mortality rate goes down. At the organizational level you have a strategy to ensure that yes, your market share improves, your profitability goes up, these kind of things. So, that is one determinants at the performance at the higher level, the mission level. At the process level, okay, and if you look at the outcomes, you make sure that yes, your customers are happy and satisfied, the quality is good, cost is contained, okay, the time period to deliver a service or to come out with a product is going down, okay, you have better product features, you have better market shares, right. Now, this is driven by what? This could be driven by certain factors like quality, cost, efficiency, and these kind of factors, so that you are able to improve your processes, and if your customers are happy and satisfied, if the quality is improved, your cost goes down, it means that you have been able to achieve performance as a result of HRD activities. Now, what is very important is that when you are talking about performance of HRD, you need to ensure that whether the HRD activities or any kind of learning and development intervention helps you to achieve these kind of objectives or not. And if it does not happen, it means your learning and development intervention, which is very specific, and for that you have a strategy, has not been successful, right. Similarly, it could be at that in group level, you can see how it happens. Even at the individual level, the objective is what? To improve productivity and output of the people, okay. And it is driven by what? Ability to learn, having knowledge, skill, good relationship, okay. And you also want to see that, okay, the level of absenteeism goes down, employee turnover is less. So, these are the factors because of which you are driven to go for these kind of HRD activities, whether it is talent development or performance development or training and development activities, with the idea that these drivers will help you to improve productivity of the individuals, groups and processes, and also at the organization level, right. So, these are the economic indicators in terms of measuring performance. Now, we are going to discuss another important approach when it comes to measuring the performance of the HRD activities, that is HR Scorecard Approach. HR Scorecard Approach actually is driven by another important theme, that is Balance Scorecard Approach by Robert Kaplan. So, the Balance Scorecard Approach actually you are going to use it at the organizational level, but since we are going to talk about the HRD performance, we are going to use HR Scorecard. And if you are going to use HR Scorecard, you have to see what are the various measures that you are going to use for HR Scorecard, and at the same time you have to see that how HR Scorecard helps you to achieve better performance, right. So, the idea is that when you are going to have HR Scorecard approach, so first of all at the first level you are going to define your corporate strategy, and this corporate strategy comes from scanning the environment. So, environmental analysis helps you to define your corporate strategy. Okay. Next level, what you are going to do? You are going to identify your workforce requirement. I have already talked about it. Means you see that what is the company's value chain, what are the things that company wants to do in order to achieve those goals and objectives. Okay. And based on that, what kind of objectives it has identified. Identify the strategies which is going to help you to achieve the goals and objectives of the organization. And in order to execute and implement those strategies, whether your people are competent enough or not, okay, and whether there is a gap between the competencies of the people to achieve those goals and objectives or not. Second level. Moving to the third level. Now, when I am talking about the third level, you need to formulate HR policies and practices. Okay. So, what kind of systems and practices you want to have overall for the HRD, HRM and also for the HRD, right. How this gap in the workforce competencies can be bridged up, and that is where you have to see what kind of HRD intervention would be required. Okay. Then next level, you are going to have a scorecard. It means that you are going to have a measurement system which tells you the extent to which various kind of interventions that you have planned to improve the competency, whether it is going to help you to achieve them or not. So, ultimately you are going to evaluate, or actually you are going to see whether this HR scorecard is reflecting what you have achieved in terms of HRD interventions and its impact, and this kind of activity you are going to do on a regular basis. So, when we are using HR scorecard, we have to see that what are the various actually measures that we are need to take up. See, using the HR scorecard to measure performance, we use actually 5 different measures. So, to start with, the first one is driving long term shareholder values. Okay. Now, the idea is that if you want to see that the performance of the organization goes up, the first thing that you are interested to look at is that whether you are adding value to the system or the organization or not, in terms of profit, growth, market share, these kind of things. right. If that is happening, it means that yes, HRD activities has helped you to improve or add value to the organization in terms of growth, profit and all kind of things, right. So that your shareholders are satisfied. These shareholders not only include external shareholders, okay, who have invested money to the organization, but also internal shareholders, customers, your employees, internal customers basically, right. How much value have you added to the people in terms of improving their knowledge and skill base, right. Then the next level, the next strategic objective is you want to see that whether there is a good return on investment of your HR activities, HRD activities, right. Suppose you have conducted a training program, okay, and on this training program you have spent X amount of money, right. So, after some time you want to see that whether there is a good ROI on this or not. It means this is the money that you have spent and this is the behavior, or suppose P, this is the productivity level. Okay. So, with this investment of X amount of money, if it is P plus 1, it means the productivity level has gone up, then you can say yes, there is a ROI on this training. If it does not go up, if the productivity level remains same, then you cannot say that there has been a change in the ROI. Okay. It means there is no return on investment that you have made in any kind of ROI activities, right. Third, okay, change in the productivity of the employees. So, HR scorecard also measures employee productivity, that is the third factor, that is profit per employee and how much revenue is generated by per employees. These are the two important measures related to the employees. Okay. So, from organization to the return on investment of the program, you are moving down further to the individual productivity and see whether you can calculate these in monetary terms or not, right. Suppose you have conducted a training program for a group of employees. So, they have gone for improvement productivity and say how much improvement is there, plus 1. So, how much it translates into monetary terms, right, and then it is divided by the number of employees. So, if the number of employees it is translated, it means that you can calculate what is the profit per employees of the training or how much revenue is generated by per employees. Suppose you have gone for a Six Sigma program. I am just giving an example, which is a quality certification program for employees. Now, this quality certification program of Six Sigma for a specific set of employees should result in what? Quality improvement. Now, this quality improvement should result in less rejections, it should result in better features, yeah, better say sales also, right. So, when you are going to calculate quality improvement, you have to see that how it can be done to ensure that there is a better profit per employees, or employees are able to participate better revenue or more revenue in the process. Okay. So, that is at the third level. Fourth level, changing the work environment, that is also a very major outcome, and that is what we call the HRD climate, or what we call a positive work climate. Now, when I am talking about a positive work environment, you have to see that the top management is going to create a very important say norm or climate in the organization which facilitates better performance. it is not only the learning and development activities and investment in that is going to help you, but you also need to facilitate it through by creating a better and healthy work environment at the workplace. So, if you are able to create a positive work environment, a positive climate in the organization, okay, you need to identify certain indicators like rate of absenteeism, okay, say turnover, employee turnover. If you have been able to create a positive HRD climate, then they should be negative. If it is negative, then it might be positive, right. So, this is another measure that is taken in the HR scorecard, okay. And then finally, you want to see that whether people are happy or satisfied or not. So, you basically look at internal customer, that is your employees, that is what I have been talking about. So, it is very important. Okay. So, employee customer internal customer index is measured through how satisfied you are. So, you can go for employee satisfaction survey, stability, how long they what is the tenure of the employees in the organization, okay. Whether they have gone for improved processes, cycle time, that is whether they have been able to work on reducing the cycle time for the products or not, right. So, these are the various measures which are a part of HRD scorecard, which is used to measure the performance of the HRD intervention, right. Now, we are moving from HRD scorecard to see the linkage between the HRD and performance finally, that is content wise. So, first of all you have to look at the what kind of practices you are going to use, what are your strategic goals and objectives, okay. How you are going to achieve it, okay, because how you are going to see that different kind of practices are effective or not, okay. And you also need to see that yes, you have a better climate in the organization, so that it facilitates learning and development activities in the organization. Now, apart from content, you also have the process. Content in the sense what kind of practices, how it is linked with the strategic goals and objectives, how you learn, what is the process, and then coming to the processes, it talks about how you are going to design and implement a system within the HRM, so that it is going to be helpful and effective for better performance, right. So, you also need to look at both the content as well as the process part. Now, if you look at the value chain, it is very important. See, that is what we have been talking about so far, starting with strategy, HRD and performance, right. So, what we are trying to do is, so at each level you have to see that there is going to be some kind of value addition in the chain. If you are going for an HRD activity, it is supposed to bring about certain change in your attitude and behavior. It is linked with organizational activities like productivity, quality, increasing efficiency in these kind of things, which would result in going down your expenses, increasing your revenues and profits, right. Okay. And then if that happens, you have overall activities are market based outcomes like your market share goes up, stock price goes up. So, if that happens, it means you can see that how employee attitude leads to our employee outcomes leads to organizational outcomes, finally leading to financial outcomes and leading to say macro level the market based outcomes. So, this is the value chain of the HRD activities. Now, it depends upon what kind of perspective you adopt. If you remember, we talked about different kind of perspective. Okay. So, both qualitative and quantitative. It is not that you are going to always link HRD performance quantitatively, but you also need to link it qualitatively, right. So, when we are talking about quantitatively, if you look at from the management perspective, okay, we talk about investing in the resources and looking at the return, right. How much you have spent on, how it is going to increase, ratio of total expenditure on training to the payroll, these kind of measures can be taken. When it comes to employee perspective, okay, how much training is given, what kind of training is given, how many people have been trained. So, this is a quantitative approach where you can link HRD with the performance. Now, when it comes to qualitative approach, from the management perspective, you see that whether management support is available, whether they are going to support these kind of activities or not, and the benefits for the employee is that how they are going to perceive the benefits in terms of value addition, in terms of increasing their learning and development activities, and then these kind of things. So, this is one set of questions that could be asked to see whether you have, an organization through HRD interventions have been able to achieve the learning and development goals or not. Okay, whether you have been able to create human capital, whether it is able to increase the skill base, whether the performance at different levels goes up, whether you are able to retain good people, okay, and offer them good learning and development exposure, okay, whether people have become multi-skilled, so that they are flexible to work for the organization, okay, what are the different kind of reward systems and how it is linked with careers, okay, and what is the learning curve, because it costs you, okay, and what is your talent development activities, how you are going to maximize the potential of the people, okay, and whether people line managers are also involved with that or not. So, if you look at these questions, probably you can find out whether you have been able to achieve your learning and development goals or not. Thank you very much.